What is going on, Smashers, and welcome to a brand new video. In today's video, I'm going to be doing a Q1 2019 earnings report. So I'm not just going to be talking about how much revenues I generated in the first quarter of this year. I'm also going to be revealing how much profit I made. That's the most important thing, the profit. I'm also going to be discussing things that I learned and common themes that happened in the first quarter. Like, for example, the fact that sales weren't actually particularly great in January, but that was to be expected. So if you enjoy this video, please remember to subscribe, give me a like, and you can also comment in the comment section below. So let's get into the video. So in terms of how my Amazon FBA business has performed in the first quarter of 2019, I'd say it's performed fairly well. There's been a couple of hiccups which I'll run over shortly, but just to kind of summarize how Q1 has been, well, I started off with zero stock because I managed to completely sell out in the fourth quarter of last year, which was absolutely brilliant. So started off with no stock. So for the first 2 weeks of January, I wasn't selling on Amazon FBA. I was just kind of chilling out and not really doing a great deal to do with Amazon. Then I managed to get stock in, I'd say, for the second week of January, and sales were, as to be expected, slow. Q4 of last year was pretty crazy. The sales that I was getting was just insane. So initially it was a bit of a shock to see the sales, dramatically reduced. I was getting like maybe 15 or 20 a day, but I think after a couple of days of that happening, I kind of adjusted to the more normal level of sales, and I kind of got over having a lower amount of sales. So sales in January were a lot slower. That's to be expected. They did gradually start to pick up throughout February, maybe because I don't know, the Christmas kind of frame of mind and people wanting to save money had passed. So sales did start to pick up in February. Unfortunately, I had to register for VAT at the end of February because I'd passed the £85,000 revenue threshold. I really didn't want to do this, but it's a legal requirement. You have to. It lowers your profit margins, and you'll see later on in the presentation exactly what it's done to my profit margins. As well, in February, I had a couple of new entrants come into my niche, some new sellers that were selling very similar products, which did hurt a little bit. It did impact my sales, but I quickly got over that. I kind of thought of different ways that I could kind of combat that. And then finally, I nearly ran out of stock again at the beginning of March. This time I took the strategy to increase my sales price and lower my PPC spending. I kind of wanted to make as much profit as I could before I actually ran out of stock. And fortunately that did work. It managed to slow my sales down a bit too much, actually. So that's one lesson that I learned. Don't increase your price too much. I actually tried to increase my price to the levels that I was charging before Christmas. It just didn't work. I think pre-Christmas it's just a bit mad and people will pay pretty much anything because they want to get their presents and things in. Whereas now the price that I charged, people just weren't having any of it. So I quickly noticed that it wasn't working and then readjusted. So I nearly ran out of stock again in early March, but I managed to slow the velocity down until I did get more stock in. So in terms of what the performance looks like on a graph, well, I've made one here. So these are my daily sales, and you can see from the spikes, the peaks and the troughs, you can kind of work out when it's a weekend and when it's not. Clearly my customer demographic prefers to shop at the weekend. So you can see at the beginning of January, it was a little lower. Like if you look here on my very first day of selling this year, I did 20. And that was quite a stark difference to what I was doing in December. I think my record in December was like 92, and on average on each day I was doing like 60 to 80. So to get 20 immediately, it wasn't a bit of a shock. But as mentioned, when I kind of adjusted and realized, it is January, it's always going to be slow, I quickly got over that. So you can see as the quarters progressed, my sales have gradually started to tick up a bit. And then here, this area here where I've kind of highlighted it in red. So there were two things that happened here. Firstly, around here is when the new competitors came in, and unfortunately, I didn't actually realise this. At the same time, I think I put my price up because I noticed that I was going to be shortly running out of stock. That clearly didn't have a good impact on my sales. So I think with the combination of a new competitor and the fact that I increased my price, customers were a little bit put off by this. And I also reduced my pay-per-click advertising as well. And then I think around here is when I saw that I was getting new stock in. So I think I reduced my price, increased that budget back up, made sure that my listing was optimized, that I had the best pictures. I had another quick read through my listing and made sure that it was as good as it could possibly be. And you can see here the impact. My sales have quickly recovered. So here, I think this was actually one of my worst performing days. I think I did like 15 units. And I, as soon as I reduced the sales price and put my PPC expenditure back up, you can see that my sales have pretty much skyrocketed. So here, towards the end, in fact, this was the last day of March. It was a record for Q1. I think I did 59 or 60 units, which is fantastic. So, I was a lot happier when I saw that, because I think when I saw these numbers, I was thinking, what's going on? Okay, so that's the daily sales. Now, this is something, a bit of analysis that I did here with one of the tools that I built. That looks at the sales that you've made, and it splits them between what's organic, so what you're not paying for, and what's inorganic, so what you're paying for through pay-per-click. So you can see here when I initially ran out of stock and I had to do a relaunch at the beginning of the year, you can see probably that my sales rank had slightly fallen, so I was relying quite heavily on pay-per-click. But you can see here as the quarter has progressed, the gap between the two has kind of got wider. Again, this was a record. I'm not quite sure what happened here at the end of March, if it was a lot of people's birthdays, maybe because it's Easter actually. You can see that on the day that I did like 60 sales, I only paid for, so pay-per-click, around 20, so about a third of that. Which is really, really good. And I actually did look at my average, so throughout the entire period, on average, it was around 60-40. So 60% of my sales were organic and 40% were pay-per-click, which is really, really good. Those are the sorts of sales that you really want to be targeting. If you're just making inorganic sales pay-per-click, it's unlikely that you're going to make a decent profit, purely because pay-per-click advertising is just so expensive. It's crazy. In the very early days when I was selling, I think my ACoS was like 30 or 40%. And if I had not been able to start getting organic sales and start ranking, my profit would have been very, very low, because my profit margin isn't actually much higher than like 40%. So really, really good result there. So in terms of how much profit I actually made, well, in the period of Q1 2019, I made £36,500 worth of revenue, which I'm happy with. It's a bit lower than what I had in Q4, but that is completely to be expected given that it's not Christmas and Q1 is typically one of the slowest parts of the year. Now, I mentioned earlier that unfortunately I had to register for VAT, and I had to do that at the end of February. So this value here is like 1 month's worth of VAT that I'm effectively going to have to pay to HMRC. Well, that's how much I'm going to owe them based on March's sales. Then the next one of my costs incurred is Amazon fees, pay-per-click advertising and stock costs. Now of that, no surprise, the biggest proportion goes to Amazon. So I paid them £13,000 in referral and fulfillment fees and nearly £4,000 in pay-per-click costs. So that's nearly £17,000 that went to Amazon, which is just crazy. Again, making Jeff Bezos even richer. But we've got to be grateful, because without Amazon FBA, I wouldn't have made £10,500 profit. So I made £10,500 profit in the first quarter of 2019, which I am happy with. It's just one product, and to be honest, in Q1 2019, I did very little work on this product at all. I've kind of been focusing on other things. I've been focusing on the Amazon FBA Smashers course. I've been focusing on mentoring students and focusing on launching another product, which I've just done today as it happens. So hopefully I can provide you guys with an update. Now, even though I do kind of moan about the fees and things like that, at the end of the day, in my opinion, I've made £10,500 by doing something that I genuinely really enjoy. For those of you that are in the Amazon FBA Smashers group, you'll see that I'm very active. I love helping people out and helping you guys learn about Amazon FBA and learning to smash it. It's a lot of fun actually doing product research, finding a product and coming up with an idea, branding it, and then selling it on Amazon FBA and seeing that people out there, people that you don't know that have got no connection to you, are happy to pay upwards of £15 to you. It's a really good feeling. You kind of feel like you've achieved something. So as much stick as I give to Amazon for taking the fees and things like that, at the end of the day, I feel like I've been paid £10,500 for not really doing a lot and getting quite a bit of enjoyment out of launching it and just running Amazon FBA in general. So what I would say, guys, is if you are thinking of doing Amazon FBA, do get involved. You can join my Amazon FBA Smashers group on Facebook, completely free. It's a great place to learn about Amazon FBA and to, I suppose, just allow you to actually understand exactly what it is and see if you want to do it. So that's everything for this week, guys. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video and you've seen the power of Amazon FBA and just how much you can earn by not really doing a great deal of work at all. If you have enjoyed it, feel free to give me a like and a comment in the comment section below. And if you are looking for anything to do with Amazon FBA tips, tricks and tutorials, you can subscribe to the channel and come and join me in the Amazon FBA Smashers group on Facebook.